You know, I've been thinking a lot lately. People always ask me why I spend so much time by myself. They think I'm lonely. But honestly, I don't think they ever experienced what real peace feels like. I've been thinking a lot about this lately. People always ask me, why do you like being alone so much? Hmm. And every time someone asks me that, I kind of smile. Not because it's a bad question, but because I don't think people understand what they really mean when they ask it. See, somewhere along the way, people started believing if you enjoy being alone, something must be wrong. You must be lonely. You must be depressed. You must given up on people. But honestly, none of those things are true for me. I don't like being alone because I hate people. I like being alone because I finally learned what peace feels like. And once you experience real peace, it's really hard to go back to a consistent noise. Do you ever notice how many people can walk into your life and somehow everything just feels heavier? Nothing dramatic happened, nobody yelled, nobody argued. But after they leave, you feel mentally exhausted, like they took something from you that you can't even explain. I used to ignore that feeling. I thought that's just how life works. I thought being a good friend meant always answering the phone, always being available, always showing up, always saying yes, even when I don't have the energy, even when I needed time for myself. I thought that's what made someone a good friend. But after a while, I realized something. You can have a good heart and still end up completely empty. Because if you're constantly pouring into everyone else, who is pouring into you? Who's making sure you're okay? Who's checking to see if you're mentally exhausted? Who's asking if you're carrying something heavy? Most of the time, nobody. And I'm not saying it's because I'm angry. I'm saying it because that's life. Everybody's fighting battles you can't see. Everyone has responsibilities. Everybody has problems. So eventually, you have to become the person who protects your own peace. Because if you don't, nobody else will. This was probably one of the hardest lessons I ever had to learn. I spent years believing that saying yes made me a better person. Then one day, I realized every yes to things that drains me was actually no to myself. And that's the dangerous way to live. Because you wake up one day and you don't even recognize yourself anymore. Not because you change, but because you've spent so much time becoming who everyone else needed that you forgot who you are. And honestly, I think a lot more people struggle with that than they'll ever admit. Some people are exhausted, not because they work too much. They're exhausted because they're carrying relationships, conversations, expectations, and responsibilities that they were never there to carry in the first place. And that's heavy, real heavy. So these days, when people ask me why I enjoy being by myself, I tell them simple. I don't enjoy being alone because I'm running away from people. I enjoy being alone because that's where I finally found myself. I stopped to ask myself, why are people treating me like this? And I started asking, why am I allowing it? The question changed my life Because for a long time, I blamed everybody else. I blamed fake friends. I blamed people who only called when they needed something. I blamed people who disappeared. I blamed people who took advantage of me. And don't get me wrong, some people really do disappoint you. Some people really use your kindness. But eventually, you have to look in the mirror, because sometimes people don't cross your boundaries. They cross them because you never had any. I know that's hard to hear. It was hard for me too. I used to feel guilty for saying no. I'd overthink everything. What if they get mad? What if they think I've changed? What if they stop talking to me? Then one day, it hit me. The people who only like you when you always say yes never really respected your no. And that's not love. That's convenience. Real relationships don't fall apart because you needed one day to yourself. Real friendship don't disappear because you decided to protect your peace. The people who genuinely care about you will understand. Maybe not immediately, but eventually. And if they don't, maybe they were only benefiting from the version of you that never had boundaries. I don't think enough people talk about how exhausting it is trying to be everything for everyone. You try to fix everybody's problems. You carry everyone's emotions. You answer every message. You show up for everyone else. But when it's time to sit with yourself, you realize you haven't shown up for you in a very long time. That's a painful realization, because somehow along the way, you become a stranger to yourself. You forgot what makes you happy. You forgot what brings you peace. You forgot what your own voice even sounds like, because you've spent so much time listening to everybody else's. And honestly, that's why I started enjoying my own company. Not because I wanted to isolate myself, but because I needed to hear my own thoughts again. I needed quiet. I needed space. I needed to figure out who I am without everyone else's opinion telling me who I should be. There's something powerful about sitting in silence. At first, it feels uncomfortable. You start thinking a lot about things you've been avoiding, mistakes you've made, people you've lost, dreams you've been putting off. But if you stay there, if you don't run from it, that silence starts teaching you things. It teaches you patience. It teaches you gratitude. Sometimes, the silence you've been running from is exactly where your healing begins. I think that's why I protect my peace so much now, because I remember who I was before I found it. I remember always feeling overwhelmed, always trying to keep everybody happy, always worried about disappointing someone. That wasn't peace. That was pressure. These days, I don't need a crowded room to feel complete. I don't need constant attention. I don't need to prove anything. If my phone is quiet, I'm okay. If I'm spending a Friday night by myself, I'm okay. Because I finally realized peace isn't lonely. It's freedom. And I'm still learning. I'm still growing. There are still days where I overthink. There's still days where I miss people. Still days where I wonder if I made the right decision. But every time I choose my peace, I never regret it. You know what I've realized? Not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever. Some people are lessons. Some people are blessings. And some people simply teach you what you will never accept again. I've stopped trying to convince people to understand me. I've stopped chasing relationships that only survived because I was the one doing all the work. Because the truth is, the right people won't make you feel guilty for protecting your peace. They'll respect it. And if there's one thing I hope you take away from this conversation, it's this. Don't be afraid to spend time with yourself. Get to know yourself. Sit with your own thoughts. Find out what actually makes you happy when nobody else is around. Because one day you'll realize the relationship you have with yourself is the longest relationship you'll ever have. Take care of it. Protect it. Invest in it. Because when you finally find peace, You'll understand why some things had to fall apart so you could finally come together. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.